Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to my new show called Beyond Survival on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. For those that don't know me, I already have a show called This is Phlox that is dedicated to raising awareness for fluoroquinolone toxicity. In 2021, I took 3 pills of an antibiotic called ciprofloxacin, and within 5 months lost over half of my body weight and entered into hospice at 60 pounds. By some miracle, I survived, and I'm here to tell my story. And even though I am on palliative care, I still need 24/7 care, and I'm doing this show from my hospital bed. I'm doing more than just surviving. People ask me all the time, how did I survive? How did I stay mentally strong? And that's what prompted me to do this show. We have all been through traumatic experiences, and each and every one of us has a story to tell. And I truly believe we can learn from each other. We can learn from listening to each other's stories. This show is not focused on fluoroquinolone toxicity like This is Phlox. Rather, each guest on this show will talk about a situation they had to overcome. How did they get through it? How did they keep their spirit intact? What gave them hope? And what lessons do they have to share with the rest of the world? Each episode will come together as a compilation of lessons, and that in turn will give everyone watching this show the greatest lesson in life: how to do more than just survive. My special and first guests of the series are Michelle and TC Cunha. They have known each other since they were 10 years old, became high school sweethearts at 16, and have been together for the last 29 years. When they started dating, TC already had a daughter at the age of 15, and at 19, TC and Michelle had their own son, leaving them with 2 children under the age of 4. As you can imagine, this catapulted them into adulthood, and they did what they were taught to do: work hard, build a home, and do all the right things. But as luck would have it, a series of events happened that caused Michelle and TC to raise their grandson as his grandson lost both of his parents, one of which is their daughter, Ashley. Today, Michelle is a 3-time business owner running a catering company, a travel agency, and she's an ordained minister. TC has been a salesman at the same company for over 20 years, and today they're going to share their story of love, loss, and resiliency. So with that, I'll welcome TC and Michelle to the show.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to have you.
You too. Thank you, first off, Talia, for even asking us to be on, and obviously Dr. Jacqueline and the whole network for having us. We're honored to be here, especially for your first episode.
I know. I know. So to kick off the show, can you tell us what it was like when you two got together? And TC already had a daughter at 15 years old. So I want to say before you answer, some people are going to be like, oh, when they hear that. But where we grew up, we all grew up in the same city. It's not that this was common, but it was not uncommon. It wasn't uncommon to see a pregnant girl walking through the halls at school. So I know some of you would be like, but that's just how we grew up. So what was that like? 15 years old and TC has a daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you mentioned, we first met when we were 10. I was in a different middle school and had transferred into middle school. So it's funny, our grandson is about to be 10. And I'm like, can you imagine him meeting the love of his life right now? I definitely couldn't. And ironically, a year later, he left that middle school and went to the one that I came from. So we didn't talk again until high school. And he had a girlfriend, and obviously, as you just mentioned, he had a baby at 15 years old. After they broke up, the baby was about 10 months old, and then him and I started kind of hanging out and started dating. And she was obviously part of the package. So I didn't just fall in love with him. I fell in love with her too. So yeah, and here I go starting already, Talia.
I know.
And it's crazy. We look back and we talk all the time about like my parents, like, and I brought home my boyfriend in high school who had a child. And if they were very different people, like this would be a very different situation. And, they just kind of went with it. And it was something that was normal to us, but not normal to the outside world. And I think that's what's unique about it. Yeah.
I always say, like, if her parents were any different and strict, this might not be a thing, because they allowed me to come into their home at a young age with a daughter, and they welcomed me, and out of it all.
Well, maybe they just knew that this was meant to be. And they just let it happen, knowing it was going to happen at some point anyway.
Yeah. And then we went on, like, I remember we were 17 saying we were going to, we actually laid out our budget. We had a bank account at 17 together. Like, this was already set in stone from the time we started dating, which is just wild.
Purchasing furniture
for an apartment we didn't have. Like,
yeah.
Absolutely wild. Like, if we look back at it. And then we had our son when we were 19, like you mentioned. And now here we are, 19 years old, 2 kids under the age of 4. And we didn't want to be, I guess what people would say is the teenage parent statistics. And we didn't hang out with friends. We didn't do much of anything. It was all about the kids and what you would think the traditional like story would be. We bought our house in our 20s. We got married. We did the Disney trips and the family holidays at our house, and everything that I thought, is obviously, like you said, the right way, and how people would think you should go about things, and not falling into that hole of teenage parents. So we always thought, we went along the right path.
And looking at this now as we're adults, it's like you were children raising children, right? You hadn't fully grown yet. So
if I saw a 16 or 17-year-old girl right now who's like, yeah, my boyfriend has a baby, I'd be like, girl, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, I could never say that and say, it's your path. You never know what's going to happen.
And now doing it in our when we started in our 30s, you look at it completely differently.
Yeah, because we restarted in our 30s with our grandson. Yeah.
Yeah. So, leads me to the next question, which we'll get into it, because this all did happen at such a young age. So I know, why don't we just say this? Can you please share whatever you are comfortable sharing about story of Ashley, which is TC's daughter at 15. This is who we're talking about, and became the both of your daughter, obviously. But can you please share with us what happened?
Well, we got custody of her when we were 20. She was only 5 years old. So he was a 20-year-old guy getting custody of his daughter through the courts. So I think that was a huge deal.
And then her mother pretty much was out of the picture after that. So pretty much doing it on our own with no help from her biological mother. And there was a lot of traumatic stuff that happened during the time her mother did have custody of her biological mother. And then after we got custody, we try to set the right path in motion with the family time and vacations and doing all the, like I said, the quote unquote normal stuff that normal families would do.
Yeah, and we were the house where everybody kind of hung out, and all the kids were here, and everything seemed really, really good until probably middle of high school time.
Yeah,
with her for the most part.
It was starting to get around the wrong crowds, and she was the life of the party. Always wanted to be involved.
She was social.
Yep, she definitely loved the socialite, and if she wasn't involved, she had the FOMO, and there was always something. Yeah, so yeah, it just
Yeah, we obviously think that kind of led her down that path where, you know, they were experimenting with things. She was very stubborn, didn't want to listen to us in high school, that was for sure. We got a message, probably it was end of 2014 to beginning of 2015, from a friend of hers who was looking out for her best interest. And that's when we learned that she was actually doing opioids. And to find out something like that, like, I don't think we understood the weight of what that meant.
Yeah, it was tough because you don't know the actual the depth of it, I guess. In a better
You do
terms.
now, yeah, we
You
do
know
now.
after the fact, but at first it's like, all right, maybe they're just experimenting, and you know, you try to give her the good advice, and don't do these things, and it just spiraled pretty much from there. And then she ended up meeting our grandson's father, and he kind of had her on a leash. She ended up getting pregnant, and
we thought that possibly was going to turn something around, and she'd say that there was something more to, you know, life at that point. But unfortunately, in 2018, just, you know, some people go through this for years and years and years, and within 3 years, she lost that battle to addiction, and we lost her in October of 2018 when her son was only 2 years old.
Can you tell us what happened to the baby's father as well?
Yeah.
Viewers are probably wondering why. So what happened?
Yeah, so shortly before Dom was born, he was actually a victim of gun violence, got himself into a situation, and he was murdered
pretty much, in better terms. He was shot with gun violence, and he just didn't make it out of that situation.
And that was 2 months before Dom was born.
So he was murdered.
Yep.
And 2 months before Ashley was about to give birth, I'm sure that was so traumatic for her, for you guys too, and never got to meet his son, which is sad. And then over the next 3 years, you had your struggles with Ashley and her addiction. You know, I think a lot of us think if something bigger comes into your life that will take over and the addiction will kind of fade away. But in some cases, obviously, as you saw, that didn't happen.
Yeah. She was in treatment off and on. Like,
yeah,
he
so
spent a lot of time.
I spent a lot of time trying to find the right answers and trying to do the right things and try to find the happy medium of, you know, giving distance, but doing enough to try to make sure she is working on getting on the right path. So there was plenty of times I had to have her sectioned. She went to Lowell, to a girls program that she was there for a while, and but at the end of the day, it just none of it was successful. And understandable. It's just thinking as a person that has addiction, you get so deep into that hole, and you don't see a light to get out of that tunnel, and it was a tough situation. And like I said, there's so many things that I tried to do, and hopefully I was doing the right things. And you never know. Everybody's personality is different when you're dealing with addiction, and how to help them. And I wanted her to try to figure out, she has so much life to live. She has a son to worry about. We just kind of lost that battle with her. And yeah, it was tough. It was tough. There was a lot of sleepless nights looking at my phone, watching the text, hoping to hear from her.
Was there ever a time where it seemed like she was going to come around and things were going to get better, and then you got your hopes up, and then
Yep.
Well, that's the thing. I think nobody wants to be an addict or go through that. Nobody's ever going to stop and say, this is what my life is going to be. And I had it in my family. A very, very close family member actually overdosed the same weekend as he did. He made it, and he's still with us, but he obviously battles addiction. You just don't think it's going to come into your own four walls also. And I know she didn't expect that either, you know. And they say with addiction, there's a lot of things with, you know, the mental health aspect of it, and somebody who has like ADHD, and she was diagnosed ADHD, and it's something
It's compulsion.
Yeah, it's compulsion. It's something she needed for herself. And once she was in it, and unfortunately, especially an opioid, it takes a hold of you. And she didn't want that. That final year before she passed away, just even the text messages with her, she's like, I want to get better. I want to be home. I want to raise my son. And I know she truly did want that. But
we gave her opportunities to come home and stay home, and then we gave her the last opportunity, and she ended up overdosing in her bedroom
on Christmas night.
On Christmas night, and
Oh my God.
that would have been her last night, but the guy she was talking to ended up calling me at like 2:00 in the morning, asking me to go check on her. And sure enough, we walked into her room, and she was pretty much laying.
He had to perform CPR until they arrived.
The ambulance and fire truck arrived, and they shot her with Narcan. And it was amazing that she woke up from that, because I thought that was probably the last time, from my experience, my first experience ever seeing somebody like that. And there was really no life when I was sitting there on the phone with the 911 at the time, and pumping her chest, just hoping that she would wake up.
That was that's the hardest thing, because that's when we had to make the decision that she couldn't come back home, because we had Dom in the house, and we didn't want to risk her having that stuff in the house and something happening to him. Like, he had to become top priority. So he had her. That's when he had her sectioned the last time, and she was gone for like 7 months and was clean. And
she ended up getting arrested out in New Hampshire in a sober house. And she was actually had nowhere to go in New Hampshire, and I didn't want her homeless out in a strange place. So I made the decision to go pick her up, bail her out of jail, and bring her back to Taunton. But she was staying with my mother, just till we could figure out the next steps. And we actually were waiting for a bed at Stepping Stone. And unfortunately,
3 days later, she passed away.
My mother had called me and said that Ashley had locked herself in the bedroom. And I'm like, well, that's not abnormal. And so gave it a little bit of time. My mother had called me the next day, said she's still in there and she's locked in there. And I knew there was only two things that could have happened. She locked that door and walked out of that apartment to make it seem like she was in there. Well, she was no longer with us, and unfortunately, she was no longer with us.
I remember when this happened, and I kept thinking, oh my God, how are these two going to get past this? They've been struggling for so long with this, and obviously there was no shortage of love for your daughter. That was very obvious. So
I think the hardest thing is, you can post on, say, social media and say, my child has this illness and I'm asking for prayers. And that's one thing. There's such a stigma around addiction that, one, you don't want to put that person out there, but two, it's how do people look at you or perceive you? We're an open book. We're the type that, we'll tell you anything. We'll share anything. And at the end of the day, though, we weren't putting her stuff out there. So I don't think a lot of people outside of our inner circle would have even known that that's what we were going through.
Yeah. And, I truly believe that one of the worst tragedies for a parent is to lose a child. You always think you're going to go before your children. And oftentimes when children pass away, like for you, you said it was October 2018, right? They get stuck in 2018 for a little while, or sometimes they get stuck in 2018 forever. But you guys didn't do that. So how did you keep going? Like, what kept you moving forward?
Well,
there wasn't just one thing.
And we lost a child and gained a child. There was that aspect of it. It wasn't just we had lost, we actually gained. So even trying to balance all that out, even to this day, I still will walk over into the living room and see him sitting there And I'm like, wow, how did this all happen? How did we get here?
Yeah, it is amazing. And obviously we had another child. Our son was 18 at the time that she had passed away. So he wasn't young. He had already graduated high school and all. But, you know, at that point, there's other people who are also dealing with it, not just us. So.
And yes, we took our time to grieve. And it's just life moves on. It really does. And it's either you can't change what's happened in the past. You can only affect what's going on in the future. So, I mean, I always try to keep that mentality going forward. But yes, I could just be driving on the road and think about it and bust into tears. It's just.
It almost doesn't feel real. There's sometimes where like she was gone for so long at times that you don't even realize that it's still reality until it reminds you, even 8 years later.
Yeah, I don't think wounds like that ever heal, no matter how much time has passed. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. Now that all these years have passed, these 8 years, if you had 1 hour with Ashley today, what would you say to her?
I think that's the hardest one, because I think your first go-to is, you know, why, what could we have done differently, and ask her those questions. But I think that's a huge waste of time.
Well, I always say, like, the life she was living must have been miserable for her.
We just want to know that she's happy now and that this was the right.
And I just want to know that she's at peace. Like, that was really what maybe got me through it. It's just thinking she's at peace now. Because I know what I'd have been done living that life. But yeah, it's just, I would just want to know that she's loved. She was always loved. I mean, I grew up with her. I had her. I was 15. She was a bit part of my life and my growing phase. So yeah, I would just want to make sure she's at peace and just let her know she was loved, and we all miss her. And she's missing out on so much.
I think that's the biggest thing, is if you have that 1 hour, is just to kind of show her, talk to her about what, you know, what's been going on, you know, what does she think? And she has a nephew now, and yeah, there's a lot that she's missed in the last 8 years.
And my son loved her to death. Our son loved her to death, and like, I mean, everything. He puts her in the forefront with his son, and you could just tell he wishes she was here to see him grow up and have a kid and see her nephew. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Just thinking about it, it brings up all the emotions.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know this isn't easy, but if there's one thing I know she knew she was loved. And if there is somewhere up there, as they say, you know, when she's looking down, I'm sure she knows how blessed she is that you two have taken over and take such good care of Dom for her. And you really do honor her memory all the time, which is very admirable. No matter how painful it is, you still honor her and talk about this.
Oh, and Dom reminds every day.
He's just like her. We called her, we always said she had Ashleyisms, and he has Ashleyisms. It's just the most wild thing, because he didn't really know her. He was 2 when she passed, and he laughs just like her. And the laugh is something that I love the most about her, was the way she laughed. And he does the exact same laugh. So it's almost like we get to relive that. And sometimes we say that, like,
his humor and the way he brings up things. Like, I got into a car accident. It's like, oh, somebody doesn't know how to drive. And that's exactly how she would say it.
With all of this, you know, the struggles you went through with addiction and losing your daughter and moving on, and I think you guys have done a great job of moving on with your lives, obviously still respecting Ashley. What's the biggest life and lesson that you've learned so far that you could share with other people? If you could give them one lesson, each one of you can respond, or the both of you together, it doesn't matter.
For me, it's like nothing's really that important. Your life could change at any moment. The trajectory of what you think is going to happen could change at any moment, and you know just as well, Talia, like, anything could change your life don't take it all so seriously. We're only here for a short time. Yeah, it's just I try not to worry about all the materialistic things, and I just want to enjoy life with my family, live peaceful. And at the end, you watch these interviews with older people, and they kind of say the same thing. Like all those little minute things, they're really not important.
They don't matter when you get to the end.
Once you get to the end, you wish you had more time.
Yep. Trust me, I get that one for sure.
My big thing is also, I think people don't realize, again, there is the stigma in our situation, which is, not unique. I had posted, and it's funny, Talia, when you had asked me to do this, I was like, what's our story really matter? And I know I've said that to you. And then 2 weeks later, one of my Facebook memories popped up, and I had shared 10 months before she passed that 136 families had lost a loved one to an overdose every single day in the year prior. That has doubled now. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to know that there is almost 300 families losing their loved one to an overdose every single day. So like those numbers are astounding. And it's just as big as any other type of, disease or things that are taking our loved ones. And the numbers are huge. There's more people than you know that are going through this. And I will post the littlest snippet about her, and people will reach out to me. And I have moms that reach out and say that they're currently going through it and they don't know where to turn. They can't talk to anybody about it because they're afraid to. They're afraid of how they'll be looked at. I remember seeing on social media people before Ashley passed saying very derogatory things about people with addiction, and me sitting there wanting to scream through the computer and be like, you have no idea. These aren't just an addict. This is Ashley. This is this person. They have names. They're people. They're our children. They're our siblings. And it was tough because when she passed and we posted how she passed, we actually got posts from some of those same people saying, wow, like these are great parents. You would never have expected this. And I'm like, maybe that puts it into perspective for some people. So I feel for the people. Yeah, I feel for the people who are currently going through it, who feel like they have this cloud over them, because we were there. We were in that cloud, and we know what that felt like. And it is freeing to not have that cloud over us and to be able to talk about it and let people know that, if you do ever want to reach out, I'm completely here. I've found tons of resources on top of that for people who are going through it. Resources I didn't even know about when we were going through it.
Yeah, and the guilt never leaves, because you always feel like you could have done something more. So it's just you're going to live with it for the rest of your life. The guilt's always going to be there for me, to know that if maybe I did something wrong or should have did something differently or could have done more. But the past is the past. I can't change it. I can only move forward and help Dom become a good young man.
You mentioned when I first asked you to be on the show, and you were like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have a story to tell. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And, and your point was that so many families deal with this, so it wasn't unique, is what you had told me. But I said the way you guys handled it is unique. And that is what has touched me so much, is that you just took over and did what needed to be done, took care of Dom. You still had your other son you have to take care of. You still kept going on with life. And the fact that you look back and think that you didn't do anything extraordinary actually says a lot about the two of you as people, right? Because it is extraordinary. You did it without thinking. You did it out of love. And for me, I just have so much admiration and respect for the both of you, seriously, because there are lots of people that would not have taken that her grandson, that would not have dealt with her addiction, right? But you guys did. You did it all the way to the end and beyond, right? You're still doing that now. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I do think it is something that is beyond survival that you are doing. It's not just like what everybody else is going through. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, when you were saying people were reaching out to you and stuff like that, what advice could you give to the viewers or share who are going through something as similar as you. Like right now, they were going through this with their son, their daughter, their mother, their father, whoever. What advice would you have to share with them?
Find community. You feel so alone because none of your friends or most of your family, they don't know what this feels like. A lot of people know what it feels like to have like a sick family member or something like that. This feels hard because you feel like you're also in a role where you need to manage it somehow, whether it's by tough love or by, doing as much as you can. And there's huge communities out there. So we join Facebook groups for a million different things, but there are huge communities of people who have been through this and people who are going through this who can be an ear for you. And you don't have to talk to the people around you because they're not going to understand, but there's enough of us that do completely understand what you're going through. And
I think there's more resources now than there was 8 years ago when we lost Ashley.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot more resources now.
Yeah. So
bringing more light to it.
Yeah, my biggest thing is just find your community, find your people, find people who understand what you're going through, because that's critical. It's critical to know that other people.
And I think, when we, just because we're open books, I think it's easier if you spark up a conversation with somebody and you find out, and then you might find a resource that you wouldn't expect. I had that happen during a work call, and the lady actually worked for some kind of counseling. I don't remember the name of it. It was 8 years ago. But there was a group of parents that would get together at the local high school, and they would discuss their troubles with their child, a family member, whatever it was. And some had lost children, some were dealing with it currently. But there was groups that you can go sit down at once a week and be able to
be around people
discuss
who know
people
what
that know
you're
what you're
going
going through.
Mm-hmm.
How do people find these groups? Online? Like, how did you find them?
His just happened to be in conversation, and there's a local one here in Taunton that they do it, and it's grandparents that do get together that are raising their grandchildren for whatever reason, and a lot of them are in the same situation that we're currently in. So there's a lot of Facebook groups that are geared directly towards it. So I always say, Facebook's one of the best places. And even if you don't write in there, maybe if people don't feel comfortable, just reading and seeing what other people's recommendations are or what they've done, I think is huge. And I didn't know about any of those back then, 8 years ago at all.
Yeah, because even our town now has gatherings every so often to give resources that we didn't have 8 years ago when we were dealing with this. So now there's a lot more resources that are available, especially if you look for it.
I think one of the most unfair things about addiction and why there is such a stigma is because people feel that the person can control it and it's their choice. And if you actually do research on addiction, or if you have an addiction yourself, you'll see that addiction truly is a disease. And some people that have diseases get very upset, like, I have a disease that wasn't my fault. This person has a disease because they're choosing to do X, Y, Z. And I think it's very unfair. And I think that these people lose compassion because people don't understand that it is something chemically. It is a disease. I truly, truly believe that. And if the viewers are out there watching this believing that addiction is a disease, then you know how hard it is to get anybody past it. Yeah. Any kind of disease, you never know the outcome. There's no right or wrong. There's no complete handbook. You know what I mean? And so
true.
I know, yep. I know you guys are going to struggle with guilt. And I know no matter how much anybody tells you not to, you still will. That's just the nature of a parent and loving their child. But I think you guys really did the best and continue to do the best even after she's not here. So talk about loving someone beyond the grave, literally, right? And their son.
She had some great people that loved her. She had some friends who were on a really good path who would reach out to us, and they still do to this day, but they wanted the best for her. They tried to help. She has cousins who she was very close to. She just didn't know how to hold on to that love and receive it the right way. And she kind of pushed the
Push
people
people
away
away,
who
yeah.
really wanted to help her. And like I said, like I still connect with some of those friends, and it's, you know, seeing them. And she had friends who were also in the same path of addiction, and I'm proud to say that they're in recovery and they're doing well. And I'm so happy for them, because they could have, the same thing could have happened.
And some of them have.
Yeah.
Some of them did lose, and
Yeah.
you know, some of them I'm so proud of to hear that they're doing good, you know.
Yeah. So
We're thankful too. We had a good family support group around us that, especially when it happened with Dom and everything, they were very helpful and helping watch him when we needed and being there for us as much as possible in those tough times.
And, you know, most people watching this don't know you. This is why you're on the show, right? They don't understand how loving and such kind people that you are. So I think that's also why you got such the outreach that you did and the support, because you are that way for other people. You know, at least that's how I see it. I know sometimes you were probably disappointed by people. That's natural, but you really do have a lot of people that love you. I can see that. I'm one of them, but
We love you back.
I know.
You're special. You're a special person.
Yeah. And to close out the show, if we have time afterwards, we'll take questions. But if you've seen my other shows, so you know I always close every show, no matter what show I'll have, with a message of hope. So can you two give our viewers out there who may be going through something similar a message of hope? How to get through this, how to deal from a tragedy like this, anything you think can help people do more than just survive.
Well, we're fortunate because we have each other. A lot of people don't have that. So I guess it's just literally finding somebody that you can lean on, and somebody who, you know, can hear you when you're breaking down. Or
Well, yeah, because these situations usually could break up a family, and I think it probably made us stronger after all the dust settled.
but just having somebody who, again, think you can break down with, or 1 minute and then go to joy the next minute. But find the joy. Don't stay in the hard, but acknowledge the hard, and know that each day you're not going to move on without them. You're moving on with that person. Even though they're gone, they're still here. They're still, you know, we still have memories. Things pop up, and we get to smile at that, and we get to say, at least we got to love them, you know. So
Yeah. She's a very lucky but unlucky girl.
good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have anything else to add before I see if there's any questions or comments that people would like to share with you?
Nothing
No,
besides thank you
you,
so
yeah.
much for having us, and everybody for tuning
Listening,
in and
yeah.
watching and listening. Again, like, I know there's a lot of people who are currently going through or have been through it. Looking at the statistics to know millions of people have already gone through this is huge, because that's 80,000 people a year, that families a year that are losing a loved one. So
Yeah. And when we found out that when she did pass, it was straight fentanyl. It wasn't. There was nothing else in her system. It was just pure.
it's scary. So at this
scary,
point,
yeah.
it's just making sure that, you know, we're all being aware, and we're all teaching our children, you know, the dangers of all of this stuff. And you can only do so much, but give them the tools, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, you know the theory behind, like, the point behind this show is that when something happens to you, you can just literally be breathing, just surviving. For a long time, that's all I was doing, is just surviving. But there comes a point where you want to do more. And I think that's what, you know, we're trying to get through to the viewers today. How do we get beyond survival? How do we keep going and honoring people's memories, or whatever the situation is? So I thank you both so much for being my very first guest on my new show. And Dr. Jacqueline, if there's any questions or comments, okay, first one.
Yeah.
As communities, we need to stop the stigmatism of mental health, addiction, and suicide. Yep. Absolutely agree. I don't know how we get there, but I definitely agree.
It's here. So that's the biggest thing. It's not.
I always feel vulnerability brings us together more than not talking about it does.
Yeah.
You know,
Not talking about it doesn't raise awareness.
No, yeah. I think being vulnerable and talking about the situation brings awareness.
Yeah. We have Carolyn. This is a friend of mine. It matters. I lost my best friend to it. We need to talk and tell their stories.
I'm so sorry.
To hear that.
Knowing y'all in high school, after moving to Florida, kept in touch via Facebook, followed the story, and still listening, already knowing I'm crying. Love you guys. You two are some of the strongest people I've ever met. See, I told you. Yes, it is. Very heartbreaking.
Thank you.
But here they still are, sharing the story, as painful as it may be. And she says, your story is absolutely extraordinary. Young parents going through everything in life and coming out stronger as a family is absolutely amazing. That's right. That's why I said you were children raising children. You were still growing yourselves and still trying to come into your own. And look what you've become. Look what you've done. It's absolutely extraordinary. It truly is. And that's why I wanted you to be on my show. I think people can learn a lot from the both of you and your story. And, you know.
She got my link.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So anybody who's watching who wants to reach out, if you're going through it, I have moms still to this day. Like even recently, I had a mom reach out saying that she was trying to find her child because she knew that they were back into the thick of it, and she was scared. She was really, really scared while I was talking to her. And as much as I'm a huge empathetic person, like my empathy is massive. It's in my bones. And I feel like, and I know I've gone through it, so it's easier for me to feel that, and it's heavy, but I'm here. Like, I get it. So if somebody wants to message or they just need to talk and just scream, cry, freak out, or ask questions, like, you know, we're here.
Anything else, Dr. Jacqueline, or is that it? Looks like that's it. I think they would come up. So thank you both so much again.
Thank you.
For being on my show and for sharing your story with me.
Thank you.
I love you both. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Talia. Thank you, everyone.
Well, that concludes my first episode of Beyond Survival. And starting next month, I will be doing 2 shows a month. This is Floxed and Beyond Survival. And actually, next month is only a few days away. So I'll see you all very soon. Thank you, and be safe.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Talia Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCram-Perkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day. Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, only here on USA Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.